choose life, choose a job, choose a career, choose a family. But why would I want to do a thing like that? I chose not to choose life. I chose something else. And the reasons? There are no reasons. Who needs reasons when you've got heroin?
Well, there's Ewan McGregor as Renton in the movie Train Spotting. He's urging people to choose life when he, of course, chose heroin. Poignant today, considering the heroin epidemic we face in America years after that movie was made in Scotland. The phrase choose life is exactly what I thought of when Donald Trump made those now infamous statements about punishing women who have abortions. Anyone who runs for president as a Republican has a fundamental responsibility to at least understand the pro-life movement, and Trump clearly does not understand that, even after trying to walk it back all day yesterday. Now, our friend Thomas Petrie, Father Thomas Petrie, said this on Twitter, and it's so true. @RealDonaldTrump doesn't speak for me or anyone I know in the pro-life movement. He further victimizes women. In each year, Catholics march for life in Washington, D.C. and around the world. It's the March for Life. These folks prove that often the best way to fight for something is to advocate for the opposite. Has Donald Trump ever been to a March for Life anywhere in the world? Also, the Catholic Church teaches us that morally we are opposed to the death penalty, and conservatives should be too. It's not just the politically consistent position to take for the party, it's the morally consistent position too. So it's encouraging for pro-lifers to hear that some conservatives are pushing for a ban on the death penalty. Former gun industry lobbyist Mark Hayden is leading the charge, even though 76% of Republicans support the death penalty as recently as just 2 years ago. Recent history also shows us that being for life is the more prudent political position. It might be good to focus on that for Donald Trump. It can also help them avoid, politicians anyway, disastrous gaffes like the one Todd Akin made during his 2012 Missouri Senate race.
What about in the case of rape? Should it be legal or not?
If it's a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to try to shut that whole thing down.
As cringeworthy now as it was then. And after that, Akin, who had been leading in the polls, lost to Democrat Claire McCaskill. Look at the wild swing in poll numbers. McCaskill had been tanking until right before Akin said that, or right after Akin said that. This one in particular, has a tendency to move voters, especially women voters. A better way to go about this, again, for Donald Trump and any man who's a politician and is going to wade into the abortion battle, is to choose life. Talk about adoption. Talk about healing. Let the judicial branch deal with punishment. It's always better. It's always the better option to choose life morally and politically. Lead by example in the hopes that women in crisis, women whom we should all be praying for, and maybe even people struggling from drug addiction too, will do the same. Choose life. All right, time for a few laughs at the expense of Donald Trump, President Obama, Hillary Clinton, and North Carolina. Here's headlines and punchlines.
Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton said Republicans are trying to act like President Obama is not still president. Also doing that, President Obama.
There should be punishment for women who undergo illegal abortions. Donald Trump last night started to walk back his comments by claiming he meant to say doctors should be punished. And I gotta say, it's pretty ironic that Trump had to use Plan B.
President Obama yesterday commuted the sentences of 61 federal prisoners, most of whom were low-level drug offenders, and then he had a lunch with a bunch of them. Obama ate lunch with 7 former inmates. You know, usually former inmates have to be on the team that won the Super Bowl to get invited to the White House for lunch.
North Carolina just passed a law aimed at transgender people that says if you're using a public bathroom, you have to use the one that matches the gender on your birth certificate. If you're out on the town and have to use the facilities first, just go to the county clerk, get the long form of your birth certificate, and you're all good. Oh, and bring along your passport or you won't be allowed to wash your hands.
All right, still time to hear from you. Tweet us your thoughts about the show or leave us a comment on our Facebook page. @Newsmax Now is the Twitter handle. Facebook.com/NewsmaxNow is the Facebook page. We're coming back.